Hello and welcome to the Rogue Cell documentary. We are documentary now.
So this started with Together with Veterans.
I've been trying to volunteer in the veteran community for, 10 to 15 years now. It took me a long time after the war to realize that helping veterans helps me out.
Yeah, I've only been volunteering to help veterans for about a year now. And we started our podcast on a little road show on that. And now we're on a real road show.
The sun is in our eyes from a beautiful sunset.
Well, I know in 2011, Oregon was the 5th highest state with veteran suicide. Washington was the 2nd highest. And then Idaho was the 3rd highest. I know the first one was Montana, so it's all the western region has a really high rate of veteran suicide death in rural areas. And so that's really what Together with Veterans was started to that's our whole mission, is to try to cut that rate down.
Look at all that open sky for stars tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be traveling the state of Oregon, meeting with as many veterans as we can, and
working with other veteran organizations too.
Absolutely.
Sean Davis. I grew up in Central Oregon, in a small town on the McKenzie River. When I graduated from high school, I decided to join the Army Infantry. And then I got out of the military in January of 1999. And then 9/11 happened. I re-enlisted into the Oregon National Guard. I wanted to do my part, My unit, Bravo Company 20162, was deployed to Iraq. It was 2004. It was a pretty bad part of the war. So 2007, I had 6 years, 12 total in the military were up. There was no real transitional program to educate me on what to do after I got out of the military. And I didn't know who the hell I was anymore. I couldn't be Sergeant Davis. Not only did I drink too much and still had the self-destructive behavior, but I thought about suicide and actively, like how I would kill myself and how I can do it and how my family would be better off if I just ended it. And I was in a tough spot for a long time, like a lot of the guys that come back. A couple of things that helped me out, it took me a long time I needed purpose. I needed to know who I was, an identity, since I couldn't be who I was before. So I started volunteering, trying to help other people out, find a purpose and identity. I became the post commander of an American Legion in Portland. But what I learned in this amazing experience that I had was we have veterans in our community who were just like me, without purpose or identity. And when you give them purpose, they meet the challenge. They're just, it was amazing.
When you are in the military, there is no way you can be successful if you don't realize that you are a part of something bigger. And so you have this desire to influence space, and you can't do it. But here, I can.
I'm Brad Peitzig. I was retired as a major from the U.S. Army. I served beginning in 2003, and I was a combat engineer for about 9 years. And then for the remaining 5, I was a mathematical analyst. I was a Midwest kid that barely left the area at all. And then once I did join the Army, my world got a lot bigger. I was deployed twice to Iraq. I was a medical retirement. Sometime during my service, I developed schizoaffective disorder and PTSD. At first, I spent a lot of time blaming myself for being just an awful person and a failure. But at the advice of a therapist, fell in with some other veterans at a veteran breakfast. I started to find a little bit of meaning and purpose by volunteering with them. And I found that I still had some things that I can give back to my community.
we're combating loneliness and isolation, period.
Yeah.
You know, and then you start giving people community, and now you see them start to connect with each other. Cindy and I laugh all the time. We're like the matchmakers of bromances.
I can see that.
You know,
That's great.
you guys need to sit down and talk about your bromance.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I put more into this bromance than Sean does.
We're at the bottom of the Oahe Canyon.
Veterans leave the service having served their country, their people. When there's a disaster, they're there. And then they struggle quite often to find that continued meaning and purpose. So places like this brings veterans together. And that's exactly what we need. We need, as you called it, Brad, you need meaning, you need purpose.
Your mental health and dealing with your mental health, dealing with your PTSD, dealing with your separation from your unit, all of those issues is every bit, if not more important, than your physical health.
And I started reaching out because I knew if I didn't, it may cost me my life.
There is definitely like that that calling in our community of like, hey, you know, we need to help each other out.